Hello folks, Sam Edwards here, FX PhD 213, and this is class 7. Let's just have a look at where we stand right now. We've rendered our pre-grain, that's where we left off last time. So all of this CG we created is all rendered down into this batch effects. So that means that our key now should be quick and interactive, and at least in my comp, it's very easy to kind of drag through this whole comp with that pre-render, and we'll be able to work very interactively on our key. So the first thing I want to do is just look inside this master keyer. And the first thing I notice is that our edge quality it's kind of bright back there, right? And the first thing I would do is just pull this luminance down and try to get those edges looking a little more believable. And like we did on our other shot, you might have to do more than one master keyer to get a better edge color for her skin. But I think that looks a lot better already. We don't care how it looks on the track markers. They're just the track markers. I'm going to turn off this compare buffer for a sec. On there gives us that kind of two connections from one. And that'll make it easier to kind of rehook up here whatever we need, whenever we need it, and continue to make connections there. We'll make a little more room here to comp also. So next step, we need some roto. And when they were working with Nuke, they were doing most of their roto just kind of freehand garbage masks. I want to show you another use for this tracked camera that we have. So let's just go ahead and duplicate that. And we can hook that up to our background. And you can also see a strategy starting here. We have all of our background material here, and we'll create the matte down below here. And that way we'll be able to, kind of put the whole thing together. So the first thing we need is a lot of roto. Now, first step is way back here at the beginning of the shot, other than all these white track markers we have in here, we basically want to roto everything from here over. Shouldn't be transparent at all. And we might as well just make a roto for that. So you'll notice there's a track marker right there. And if we look at the top of our scene, Shift 4, you'll see that the camera right here is pointed at a line, and that would be the line of the window. All those objects in that line is the window, and there's a few things from inside the room back here. But this line is the window. So let's go ahead and, for starters, just duplicate this grid that I previously supplied you. And we'll make a nice color source. And we'll just hook these two things up, Control N. Color source goes in the front, and this grid goes in the matte. Now notice real quickly, because this will bite you later, that there's no red dot here, which means that these two things go together. And in the current version of Flame, one of them's 8-bit and one's 16-bit, but Action is able to deal with that. Older versions of Action, that was not the case. They used to have to be not only the same resolution, but the same bit depth. If this color source, though, 0.80 minus the 5 that we already discovered. It looks the same, but now its pointers are going in directions that we will probably find a little more useful. And then down to this little axis here, F4, if we move its center, and I believe if our resolution is 2880, we can just go 2880 over 2, and we want to be like negative 1440. You see it did that math for us. And half of 1620 will make it negative 810, and that puts it exactly in that corner, but also makes it slide right along that plane that had that rotation built into it. Oops, we don't want to rotate it. So we can just move it out till it's right at the edge of our building and slide it down. And you know what? I'm not truly buying. I can already see that it's kind of not in a straight line with that minus 5, that this is probably wall. Fine, plenty, right? And then go back to where we were. Boom. You can see that it's right in the original box, and then go forward. Oops. She seemed to go out of frame there slightly. Not that much. Sometimes if you just help it with the shift, keeping this arm out for her other edge. Let's maybe keep this arm out now also. Pretty good. You all can certainly work on that more yourselves. But that's for her hair, where her hair is on an edge. We can comp now this dark version of our suppress over the normal version of our express through that G mask. Pretty good. And in our comp, oh, the other thing is that now our comp has moved. It's no longer at this master key, but our real comp, the output of our comp's way down here. So Shift plus, we'll just make that context 1 because I always like my comp to be context 1. And that way we can, check this and see it in the shot. I think while we're at it, we'd love to get a G mask of her, pretty tight one, and just see how much other cleanup we need to do. So we could just duplicate this same G mask, hook it up to her, put it over here, and arrange these in a way that's a kind of a more useful G mask for her. Pull that in maybe. Maybe we're a little hanging out a little close to that marker. Always, it's really bad when you have a keyframe that with wrong points on it. So try to make sure all your keyframes are pretty good. I think we need a little more room for her messy hair up there. Great. We're getting all these keyframes on our shape. And this, I wouldn't mind even keeping it tight for her towards the beginning. I do want that hair, but and for something like this where we know we need roto down below, you're going to end up rotoing a hair, I think. So even here at the beginning of the shot, I need a roto of her. I'm going to explain why in a little bit. When we probably should have tracked this thing back a little further, right? Maybe just go to this axis, go to its last keyframe, go to the stabilizer, and take her backwards a little further. See if we can get a few more keyframes on her. Oh, that's fantastic, right? That gets her all the way into the door. Back to our geometry. I bet you this keyframe will be wrong. Huh, you see? Because we didn't have any tracking there. Now we do. Back into the door. I mean, none of this is actual. It's just where she's over this glass. I think we need a little extra roto for one of our future steps that I'm about to show you. So they're over the door. Maybe just this arm in there. Doesn't have to be that tight. And then as she goes through the door, I'm just going to close this baby up. Close it up. She's in the door. She's in the door. Keep this in the door for now. Close it up. And then I think, oops, that's a big undo. I think we can control, drag around these, and dump it. Boom. And then we'll have her for a little separation there. As a G mask for her main mat, we're going to comp. And we'll take that G mask and comp it onto our main mat as a multiply. There's the mat, and that's that G mask multiplied on. And already, life's getting a lot better, right? A lot better. I'm not saying we're done rotoing, but this is probably about the amount of roto I'm going to be able to do for this shot. We can touch it up as we go, but there is still plenty of roto to be done. But this gives us a really good, kind of limit to the outer edges of our comp. Certainly, we need to get in here and roto some more for a real show. Oh, and you know what? It can't be multiplied on here at the end. because we need our other roto also, and it's knocking out all kinds of roto. It just has to limit our key, right? So here it goes on the key, but then we have this roto and this roto on top, giving us that result. It's pretty good. I mean, you would want to roto that little, I think rock was a nice, the square thing, I think would be a really good, you can keep rotoing all day on this, but for my purposes, I think we're pretty done. Okay, so we have this roto and we've comped it in, and that's about as far as we're going to be able to get in lesson number 7. So thank you very much, and I'll see you guys on the forum.